we grew up together and went to the same church. His dad was on staff, and our parents, my parents and his mom, sang together in the choir. And we would have these big church productions, and all of us kids were there because our parents were there practicing and everything. He was good friends with my brother, and I was just kind of there.
So little Maljo.
Yeah.
So in 1998, we moved from Florida up to Canada and then to Maine, and that's kind of when we lost contact. And then in 2007, our junior year of high school, we came down because my dad was at helping out with a conference in Orlando, and kind of reconnected with everybody then when we visited Pinellas Park.
And we had heard that the Hopkins boys were in town, and we were all friends with them, so we wanted to go see them and meet up with them. And we were getting to the house that they were at, and we were about to pull into the driveway, and my brother looks at me and goes, "What if you fall in love with Norman Hopkins tonight?" And I go, "Yeah, right, like that's not gonna happen." And I walked in the door and I saw him, and that's when it hit me that he was actually really good looking.
Yeah. Anyways, so then we went back to Maine, and Mallory and I became friends on Facebook and stuff because social media had finally come into the picture and helped making staying in contact a lot easier.
Yeah.
And so we randomly chatted over the next couple of years until 2009 when my older brother and my sister-in-law got married, and I invited Mallory up to be my date for my brother's wedding, and she turned me down.
Well, I was a little scared and intimidated, and he wanted to pay for everything, which I wasn't okay with because I didn't know where it was going to go, and I would feel really bad if all that happened and nothing came of it. So I was really scared and turned him down because I didn't want to mess things up.
So, mending from a broken heart, I continued moving on through my teen and young adult years as we kind of kept in contact off and on. And then finally in 2015, I was in Columbia, South Carolina for some training for the Army. And my girlfriend at the time and I came up to Greenville to have lunch with Jess and Josh and Mallory and Parker. Tegan wasn't around yet, and so we all had lunch, and Mallory helped me plan my dates with my then girlfriend.
I planned the entire thing, where they were going to go, what they were going to eat and everything, and killed me a little on the inside because I wanted it to be me, but it's okay. I tried to move on.
And I guess kind of when it hit me was when she walked through the door that first time, because at first it was Jess and Josh kind of walking in, Mallory coyly hiding behind Parker and trying to use her as a distraction. So that's kind of when my jaw hit the floor for the first time. And then after a few more months, realized that the relationship that I was in wasn't healthy, and that Mallory was the girl that I wanted to get to know better and spend the rest of my life with. So in May of 2015, I planned a motorcycle trip to Nashville, and then Jess thankfully invited me to just come down to South Carolina and stay there for the long weekend. So I drove, it's about 1,200 miles down on my motorcycle that I had just bought.
2 days.
In 2 days. And came down here for 4 days. It ended up being because of a storm. We spent a great weekend together and kind of kick-started what was going to lead to be our relationship.
Yep.
So that weekend we had kind of decided that we were going to try and wait to start dating until after my deployment, because we wanted to make sure that we weren't kind of putting too much pressure on ourselves, and that she could handle and adjust to the military. Not just her, but both of us could handle that deployment without any added stress or pressure.
Yeah. And so he came down early May to visit, and 2 weeks later my stepbrother was getting married in Milwaukee, and I really, really wanted him to come because I missed him a whole lot, and I think it would have been a lot of fun. And so I kind of reached out to him and told him, just trying to hint at wanting him to be there, and but he was still getting ready for the deployment, so he wasn't able to come because he was doing so many classes and teaching and stuff. And so I was really disappointed, but at the same time, I knew he was doing what he needed to do. And so we go to the wedding, and we're getting ready to go to the rehearsal dinner. And my mom had driven off somewhere, and we were all waiting for her to get back because we needed to go and everything like that. And so then she finally gets there, and we're sitting there looking, and someone is like, somebody else in the car with her? And we're like, no, she went by herself. And I look, and we go outside, and up walks Norman, and he had just flown in from Maine, and I was so excited that I couldn't say anything or do anything. I just ran and hugged him so tight.
So we successfully surprised her.
Yes.
For the wedding. It was a great weekend, a lot of fun seeing everybody again, meeting her stepbrothers and that side of the family, and kind of the emotion, and we got caught up in the weekend and ended up dating that weekend, which was about less than a month before I headed to Texas to kind of go out the door. Mm-hmm. So
we couldn't help ourselves.
Yeah, didn't quite go according to plan.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was a bad thing, that's for sure.
No, not at all.
We just, we started our relationship right before the deployment.
Mm-hmm.
She was able to provide me the support and the stability that I needed through a really tough year. And it was apparent before I even left that she was apparent before we even started dating that she was the girl of my dreams. She was the type of girl that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, and was the girl that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. And so we kind of started, I actually tried to get her to marry me before I left.
Yep. And I said no because I wanted to take time, and I love my sister and brother-in-law and their family, but I did not want to be living there and married and without my husband for the first year of our relationship.
So even though I'm known to be quite the smooth talker, I wasn't able to talk her into it. So during the beginning part of the deployment, I had finally convinced her to go out engagement ring shopping, so Jess took her out, and they ended up finding the ring that kind of they described as changing her facial expression. So I guess it was right around Thanksgiving time frame, I actually got a hold of her father and Skyped him and asked for his blessing to ask her to marry me. Because of the distance and where I was, he understood that I wasn't able to come ask that in person, so he graciously gave me his blessing, and so I sent my parents to go pick up the ring that she had picked out without really knowing that she did. And so in about November time frame, I had the ring, and she started looking at venues with Jess, and they were going around and found, after looking at a few, found Aaron Farms and Easily, and we fell in love with the venue. I was able to free up time to go back to my CHU and Skype in during the tour, and it was kind of the perfect venue for us and fit both of our personalities. So we quickly booked one of the last weekends in October because we knew we wanted a fall wedding. Yeah.
And so we, I don't know, we just kind of hit the ground running with it before we were engaged, and it was one of those things that both of us just knew in our hearts that that we'd found the person that we were looking for, and I had to keep convincing myself that if he was here, we would already be engaged, and so it was okay to plan wedding stuff ahead of time. But it was all fun, and it was great, and he actually did an incredible job of being a part of a long-distance relationship, making me feel special, making me feel loved and appreciated. And I don't know, it was a tough year, but I think we definitely did the best that we could in it. So he got done with the deployment and was back up in Maine, and almost like a week or so later, I came up because I wanted to see him, obviously, and a good buddy of his was getting married that weekend, so not only was I going to go up and see his family and stuff, but I was going to see all of his friends, which is so intimidating, but yeah, we went up, or I went up.
We had also never been in Maine together at this part. Up until this point of our relationship, before we got engaged, we had only spent 14 days together in person.
Yeah.
So it was important to have her in Maine to meet my friends' family.
So I got off the plane in Maine, and we had about 5 days, so we knew we wanted to pack a lot in. So we got together, and it was this great moment and everything, and then Norman's like, all right, we're going to go back to the house, drop off your stuff, we're going to take the motorcycle out to the mountains, and I was like, okay, let's do this. And so we were on this motorcycle ride, and it was, what, like an hour?
Hour and a half-ish.
Hour and a half out. And we got to like a main part of the town, and I was like, all right, I have to go to the bathroom. So we stopped to go to the bathroom, and he's like, we're going to go up on the mountain, and then I figure we'll come back into town, and we'll eat and stuff. And I was like, okay. And so then we got back together.
Well, she couldn't make up her mind if she was hungry, so I got gas, and I went into the bathroom and got the ring out of my leather jacket and into my back pocket, so it was very uncomfortable because I had made this wooden box for the engagement ring, so I had this thing cramming into my leg, and I get back out from the bathroom, and she had her hangry face on. It was like, I think I just we need to eat now.
Yeah.
So we went and we grabbed lunch.
With the red wedding ring box.
In North Conway, it's still in my pocket, and as you can see, she likes to put her hands on my legs, so I was like, okay, we're gonna be eating lunch, and she's gonna feel the box, and she's gonna know what's going on. So we're eating there, and I'm awkwardly trying to get situated, and trying to keep the ring pocket away from her.
And he was like in such a different zone, like he was just kind of staring off, and I'm like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm good. And like, he was a little off, like not a lot, but I was like, well, maybe he's just tired or something. And so we took our time eating and whatnot, and then he was like, all right, you ready to go to the mountains? And I was like, yeah, let's go. So.
And the reason why I was off was because I was worried that she was not in a good mood. She had never been on a motorcycle ride really any more than 45 minutes. So to do it right after flying, and she had been up before 5 a.m. that day, so it was a long day for her. So I was just worried that it was gonna ruin the moment. So we left lunch and we took a ride up the Kangamangas Highway. The week before, my dad and Nathan and I had driven out to kind of find a good overlook, because it's my favorite ride out through western Maine and then into North Conway, New Hampshire, and out the Kangamangas. And we get there, and we set up the GoPro on the tripod to take a picture with the great backdrop, and so I walk over, and little does she know it's recording video.
Yeah, I thought we were just taking a picture. And so I'm standing there and just kind of waiting, and he walks up, and I go to put my arm around him to take the picture, and he's like, all right, he's like, we got 10 seconds. And I was like, okay. And then I like go to put my arm around him, and then next thing I know, he's down on one knee, and he pulls out the ring box, and I'm sitting there, and I just remember, like, I remember parts of what he said, but the entire time I was like, okay, wow, this is happening, this is it, right now, and just focus, Mallory, and like, it was definitely an entertaining time.
The funny part is she thought that while she was in Maine, we were supposed to go look at engagement rings together.
Yeah. Oh,
She thought that we were going to go look, so that we had an idea. But
I was so mad.
Little did she know that I had the ring. Let's see, this was in March, so I'd had the ring for close to 6 months already back in Maine. So.
Yeah. So. Yeah, he proposed and got an awesome video of it.
It was definitely a chilly ride back, and now we're in hour 2 of the motorcycle ride, and but all in all, good day and a good rest of the time in Maine.
Yeah, it was a good day.
The rest is kind of history.
Yep.